All right, everybody, it is our Tribe Redefine team call for May 11th. I had to double check that date a million times before I even started it because I just don't know. I don't know dates. I don't know days. I don't know what's going on at all. I'm going to run through a couple of quick announcements, which you should all be familiar with. I've got a little motivational tip that I stole from Shalene Johnson just to get us pumped, and perhaps this is something you can share out. And then my training tonight is all about the resources we have available within Tribe, within Beachbody Champions, within corporate, just so we could have a space that, like, we have a new coach sign up or someone who wants to join back into the business or who hasn't been doing things in a while. This is a good resource. It'll go through as much as I can. I pared down my list because you guys know that I could be chatty to what I find to be most significant that perhaps the new coach information that Beachbody sends isn't going to get into. So it's not going to break down everything in Coach Office, just some of the resources that we all enjoy and that we all adore. And then at the end, we have a 3-part action item. They're not crazy long. So if you stay till the end, at least get those 3 parts written down or something, and then you are dismissed, as Ms. Buss would say. Okay, so first things first for our basic announcements. It is the summer sale, which you guys know if you've focused on anything at all that's Beachbody, Carl, National Wake Up Call related. All of the month of May, all challenge packs that are $150 or more are $20 off, and that still includes the 10 rounds challenge packs. So it's a really great deal. I know there's been some chatting back and forth in Team Fit Dynasty today about what's available and what's not available because of shipping delays. Carl spoke on the National Wake Up Call and said that everything is about 5 to 10 days out from kind of being rectified and getting back to a all good in the hood of the warehouse kind of a space, and just reminded us to remind our people that what we have to understand is demand went up significantly, and they could not have anticipated this kind of response because they could not have anticipated this pandemic. And so when you've got people at home, and the more and more people are at home, the longer and longer they're getting more bored and finally giving in to joining us, they're wiping out the supply. Couple that with the fact that our warehouses and manufacturing industries are understaffed right now because of social distancing and because places are closed, and it's just, you got to think about that. And I know you all think about that and are very logical beings, but it has nothing to do with our company being poorly running anything. That's what Bod Groups is for. But in terms of shipping, in terms of supply, that's a different scenario. So 5 to 10 days, he believes that should everything get back up and running. Now for Bod Groups, it's bizarre. I'm still struggling. I know some people are still struggling. All weekend, I could not log anything. And now suddenly this morning I opened it up and all of my logging features were back. So I just don't know if maybe things are getting worked out. But again, I imagine on a tech side, they are mostly all working from home. And so it's just a really bad timing for the rollout of this group, and all hands are not on deck to fix this. I do wish corporate was a little more transparent and explaining that they're aware of all of these issues, and instead of just pretending like everything's going well, but we shall see. So, just keep us all posted on what your current issues are. I know a lot of us work together anyway, but just keep the chat going, and so that we can, if a new error pops up or a new issue or something, or one of us has figured out a way to overcome that, then we can spread that information around. Okay. Oh, yes. I was like, what does that even mean? I forgot what I wrote down. What I would like for everyone to do right now is to pause for a second. We're going to stop and story. So if you have your phone handy, take out your phone and go onto your Instagram or your Facebook and leave a little story that it is team call night, whether it is a still image or a video or whatever you would like to do. But we are going to stop and story at the moment. I didn't understand my own notes, sorry. I want to tag all of you, so I'm just saving that post, that picture, so I could do it later. Okay. Cool. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so for the motivation today, I want to say the full name of the episode because it was a long one. Okay, so it was Wednesday's Shalene Show episode, Wednesday of last week, obviously. It was called Unfulfilled Female Syndrome with Natalie, Jill, and Angie Lee. Okay, now I don't know if this is what's happening in my brain or if this is like the woman's midlife crisis kind of thing in the 2020s, but this episode really resonated with me, and I'm going to explain how I link it more to motivation. But in it, Shalene talks a lot about her workaholic nature. And though her story is very different than mine, I can see a lot of myself in the motivation that she has. She tied her worth to something as a younger girl and saw that only as her wealth in life. And for her, it was her ability to make money when necessary. Her parents relied on her when she was a kid, and it was like her thing that she could make all this money. She even told a story how when she met Brett, she was 21 already and he was 20. And so for his 21st birthday, she rented a limo and paid for everybody's alcohol. And they had like this basher of a night that she paid for. And that was always why she thought he was impressed with her, was her ability to pay for things. For me, it's my ability to lead. Can't remember a time in my childhood that I didn't become a part of a group, whether it was a sports team or a club at school or whatever, and I didn't end up being the leader. And like, that's how I would always be praised. My parents, but of course you're going to be president of that. Of course you're going to be, captain of that. And so those times when I wasn't, it was really off-putting to me. And it's been a real struggle for me as an adult to kind of realize I can't lead everything. I can't do that. And that's how my wealth or my personal wealth was tied. And I think we all have these kind of identities. And it's when we are grown women raising families or having jobs and having relationships when we start to feel these unsettled feelings. And she directs the episode kind of tied to that. When you identify what it is that you feel so valuable in you, when it starts to feel difficult or in question, or when you realize that's actually not what people value you for, because that's just one aspect of you, that it's really unsettling. And so she calls it this unfulfilled women syndrome, and you can listen to the episode and get all of the gist. But in it, she says this one quote that I just really loved, and she says, "A minute spent in unhappiness is 60 seconds of happiness you've sacrificed." And that's a quote she stole from somebody else. But she said for her, what really resonates is a minute stuck in unsatisfaction is 60 seconds of happiness sacrificed. And so for all of her dwelling in her life of like being unfulfilled and feeling like a grumpster and feeling like, why aren't people evaluating me for this? Why is life so hard? Why do I reach this goal and then I want to immediately reach another one? And all of these things that she was thinking. She said it was her own measure of satisfaction versus unsatisfaction in her life that was causing that for her. It's not a matter of being unhappy or being sad or having a rough day. It's her own measure of what satisfaction should look like. And when she became aware of that, the chips on her shoulder started to fade away. Her jealousy started to fade away. Her, angst towards her husband, or her impatience with her kids, or, the side eye she'd want to give to that colleague, they started to fade away because she realized she was really unsatisfied with her own view of herself and herself in the world. And when she stepped back and started to change that view, she was able to gain back those 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 17 minutes of happiness that she was sacrificing in her unsatisfaction. I shared that quote because I just think it's really cool, and it can be relatable to us in so many ways. And I want you to think about it in a way in terms of this business. If there are things about the business or about your fitness routine or about your nutrition that just feels like a chore to you, don't waste your time on it. If you don't love making graphics, don't make freaking graphics. You can find some online or make Leslie make them for you. She makes beautiful ones, right? If you don't love sharing your food, it feels like a chore to you, don't share your food, right? Don't do this business in a way to check off all of the boxes. And I am going to talk about checking off boxes because it's important, but don't check off every single box every single day and waste it in an unsatisfactory kind of a way. Find the element of this business that drew you to it, whether it's the business opportunity, whether it's your commitment to your own health, whether it's a community of women, whether it's finding your confidence in your voice, whether it's the personal development, whether it's, Jackie and her hair, like whatever you find to be so engaging. Sure thing. That's where you need to spend your time and start to reframe. Here you go, sir. Your philosophies on the rest, okay? So just keep that in mind. So all of the tips and all of the things I'm going to share with you today, I do not expect every one of us to do every one of these things all the time. It's impossible. You'll resent it. You'll be unsatisfied. Find the avenue that's going to help you get started as a successful coach, or find the avenue. See, I knew it, and I won Best Arms. Find the avenue that gives you the most happiness and the most. Jackie chatted, if no one saw that she got best hair in high school. So if no one saw that I realized I was saying things that didn't make any sense. And that's where your focus is going to be. And through personal development and through action, you hopefully will start to let go of some of that dissatisfaction that you have. And listen to that episode because it was pretty cool. Okay, so now for our training. I need to share my screen, so just give me a second because I want to start with you guys. Start talking about, and can everyone still hear me? My students have been really, we can't hear you. Every time I speak. I can't hear anything you say. All right. I want to start in our team page, Tribe Redefine, and show you guys the units and the files because I don't know if everyone is aware of all of the units, and I believe a few of you have admin access. I know Teresa does because I know Teresa's been had added to units a while back, but if you would like that, just ask me and you can have admin access and you can add to the existing units. There's still plenty of content that needs to be united. It's not so easy when you're posting, you have to kind of go in and do it after. But there are a few different things I wanted to show you. They used to be in a good order and it's impossible to reorder the units. So as new ones cropped up, they kind of went sideways. But Brittany, this is really good for you. Robin, for that coach you were talking about. Leslie, Jackie, Teresa, for the coaches you're bringing in. Just reminding them that as much as we can, things are here that are helpful to them. There's a unit based on our old first 30 that Beachbody had put together last year, I believe, or the year before, with the 30 things that coaches, or the first 30 minutes, first 30 hours, first 30 days of your business. We've added some other resources that are good tips for that. And when you click on them, like I'll just open I think I should have double checked this, but when you click on one of the activities in here, usually there is some sort of context that gives you, this means all of them. There's context within each unit that explains what these posts are meant to be. So you can actually kind of school yourself on Beachbody by going through our different units. Let me go back to units. So we have the first 30, Emerald and Beyond, which helps talk you through rank. We should add the Emerald call, Leslie, if you're mind me to do that. We can add your most recent Emerald call to that. Success Club Basics, which we'll talk about, Brittany, and I'm sure the girls talked about a little bit tonight. Some tips and tricks for challenge groups, also some tips and tricks for free groups in here. Inviting, which is one of the behaviors. Social media trainings, so a lot of these are podcasts or little trainings that we've done right here in the group. Getting unstuck, because there will be a time where you're stuck. There will be a time where you don't know what to do, and these are good kick in the butt kind of podcasts and trainings and such. Launches, which is kind of outdated. Hustle hour, this is what we do every day. Most of us join in for action hours.
I need another one that gets open.
Okay, and then just eat all the fruit snacks because Dad's in the shower and I'm on a call. Here you go, eat them all. All right, it's fine, it's fine. But every morning there's a group of us that do action hours and we follow one of these. Every afternoon there's a group of us that do action hours and we follow one of these. And they take you through the business activities. They're awesome, as many of you know. Let's see what else. Oh, some recruiting information, all past team calls from last year, and so on and so forth. So everything you could possibly need. you could overload yourself on this. And what I should have started off with, and I have it in my notes later, I don't know why I did that, is that when we're gaining information and gathering resources, it's truly important that we implement and we schedule time to implement. One of our action items tonight has to do with this, but you can't binge listen to 100 trainings and then do anything productive. It's just going to be complete overload. So know where to find them. Give yourself maybe a time limit each day to go through these, or if you're training a new coach through these, give them a unit and a week to go through it, or whatever you want to do, but make it digestible, or it's just never going to work. It's like cramming for the test. You only know that information to regurgitate it backwards, but you can't actually implement. So we want to make sure we're focused on implementing. I don't know what's happening here, but there's one other thing I guess I wanted to show you guys in Tribe, and that's our files, which there's some good stuff past and present in here, and sometimes I think we forget that things are in here, and sometimes I forget to add things to it. But we've got all kinds of trackers. We've got some past meal plans, some information on Shakeology. This is cool. I think the memory jogger, a text version of the memory jogger is in there. Just lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of information. Whether it's a tracking sheet that you can use, an old meal plan you can share out, the links for all of our calls, all of that stuff you can find in the files. It's just also another good resource. Never feel like you can't ask a question, but always try to find the information yourself, because then you know where it is the next time, and you know where it is when one of your coaches is looking for it. So just try and then ask, and you're welcome to do that. I also wanted to say, I'm going to stop my share for a little bit, is that when it comes to Tribe, not only is, do we have the units, we have the files. I want this, and I've said this before, to really be a space where anybody can create conversation, create resources, share, question, whatever, create community within that page. So you can post a question if you have it. You can share a podcast in the middle of a random Wednesday because you listen to it and it's a must listen. You can tag us all on something on Beachbody Champions page and put up something in like a watch party in Tribe that you're sitting down to this training. Please feel comfortable doing that. I'm not saying that to ask you to run my team page. I'm saying that to make sure it's a space where we all feel valued and heard, because that's really important to me. So if this is the avenue with which you would like to share and ask questions and find community, then please, anything and everything you would like to share and put on there is fine. Any and every one of your coaches that you sign on that wants to work the business, or just that wants a space to be, put them in there. So please, it is for everybody. It is truly, truly for everybody. We also have Team Fit Dynasty, which everybody knows about, except perhaps Brittany might not understand. I had added you to that, but it's our uplines team. There's also some great trainings in there. I don't think she has active units. She might have some past units, but it's more of an alive page for recognition and also for question and answer. So there's oftentimes coaches, like today, there was a post about the shipping and about stocking of product. So it's also a great place to check in, and it's just a wider net of coaches that extend beyond our smaller community. So it's also a great place to ask questions. Don't ask question in both places, and that's just, but ask it here, and if we can't answer, ask it there. If it's a really big one, ask it there, and just that's enough. We don't have to be like posting all over the place. But if you find a great resource, share it in both places and help all the coaches that are in our extended network. That's something that you can do as well. So anyway, now for corporate. There are just 5 things I wanted to talk about tonight. There are a gazillion more, but just 5 that I believe are the most important, and I am going to share my screen again. And I know, again, I'm somewhat repeating myself for most of us on this call, but I wanted to be able to share with everybody. Beachbody Champions, to me, is the best resource. I think Teresa would agree. I think it's where she finds her most valuable trainings. I know Jackie is in there a lot, Leslie's in there a lot, Robin's in there. But it's up to date, and it's an active, living, breathing personal development and business development collective. I don't know how else to put it. Every week they update the banner with what trainings are going to take place during the week. Every week there are live trainings by coaches and by corporate mentors, and then all past trainings and past, panels are all on here. Because it's an invite only, like you can add yourself to it, Brittany, or I'll invite you to it right now. Sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time, apparently. Oh, you're already, yeah, see, did you do that last call or something? Whatever. But anyway, we can't share a lot of things from here into team page. Sometimes stuff like that works, but it's just the bomb. It's the bomb. And if you're looking for a way to understand Team Beachbody, then this is a great place to do it. The second most important resource, in my opinion, is the National Wake Up Call. Though it's not always actionable, most times it is actionable. But I've said this before, and I'll say it a million times. When I became a coach, I binge listened to as many National Wake Up Calls as I could, not even just kind of paying attention to tips and tricks, but just to get to know the culture, to hear the coaches talk, to hear the questions that they were asked, and to really kind of feel the vibe of this community that extends way bigger than all of our teams. It's just really cool and it's inspiring. And every once in a while I'd hear a nugget, then I'd write it down, or I'd screenshot that episode or save that episode to go back and listen to when I could actually take notes. But it's just a must. It's usually available on podcast, but if not, you can find it in the Facebook page as well. Okay, the next thing is our Success Club system tracker. I'm going to stop my share. I'm not going to go through Coach Office. I was going to. Hey, Steph. But I don't want to be toggling between everything. But our Success Club system tracker, I'm sure everybody has talked about as well. I suggest, if you can, to print out 52 copies and get yourself a year's worth of trackers. They have added now, and I don't have a functioning printer at home. I used to print things at school, so I got to work on this. They have added the Shakeology retention tracker, which is really neat and gives you a way to keep track of your new Shakeology customers. A notebook could work well just for that. But it's just such a simple way to understand the basic business activities. Any of those action hours, we're going to walk you through it, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful resource. And now, couldn't find my notes. I had moved them. Okay, that's that. So the other thing is within BOD groups, and even just you can Google Beachbody challenge tracker or challenge group guides. If you're not going to be using BOD groups, you don't have to even go through BOD groups to find them. But there are challenge group guides for posts for every kind of group you could imagine. There are content specific for certain programs, 10 rounds, 80-day obsession, 21-day fix. Every program you could imagine has a challenge group guide, and it'll tell you what day, what information you could post. There's also General Beachbody On Demand Challenge Group Guide. There's Shakeology and Performance Line Challenge Group Guides. So you could mix and match and take content from different groups and create a really cool challenge group without ever having to type a word of your own. Now, many of us do personalize things and add a little bit of a flavor, add a podcast here, a different quote there, whatever, but you don't really have to invent the wheel. There's plenty of places you can get posting ideas, but finding content that is already created for you and add a nice flow is such a great guide, such a great system. I was talking to another coach of mine today who didn't realize that existed until BOD groups, and now kind of sees that right in her face, and she was just blown away by that. And anyway, and the last one is Share a Cart, which that I will say the ease of that being linked to Coach Off or to BOD groups is really great. But Share a Cart for making sure we have a way to collect email addresses first off, and have the ability to create customizable packages for our clients. It's pretty neat. It takes a lot of the guesswork out. Yes, we can still use something like BB Links or TBB one, whatever, I forget what the other one is called, to create clickable links that'll take people to packages. And I do still do that in a pinch if someone really just wants something fast and hasn't given me their email address. They're ready to buy containers. Here's the link to the containers. Go have a field day, whatever. But using Share a Cart is just, it keeps track of everything for us. You can take people through the flow. You can edit, they can edit and add to. It's just a nice organized space. So anyway, to me, Now, there's plenty of others, like I said. Those are 5 resources within the corporate setting that are game changers for running your business. I could list 5, 10, 15 more, but those are really helpful. In Coach Office, you can find trainings, you can find information on rank, and you can find information on that you can share from each individual program into your social media or for an invite and this and that. But I just think those are great, simplified, make our job pretty easy, all that we need to know and do for this business. Does anybody want to add anything? Feel free to add either by unmuting or by typing it in the chat.
I mean, this is just what Pam already said. I loved all of the units in the Beachbody Champions page, and I watched them all even before I was ready for them because they were talking about things that I wasn't even sure what it was. But then when I was ready, I knew which trainings were good and which trainings like didn't jive with me. So like I kind of binge watched them, took notes on the ones that were useful right then and kind of earmarked for later. Like this is one to go back to when you're ready for it. Because right now you're not. So that was super helpful. They were great.
Yeah, that's a good point. Anything else? I'm trying to open one other thing, but my internet's being annoying, so. Here we go. I need to sign in real quick. Let's see if I can get this to go.
While you're doing that, I'll just add not to like overwhelm yourself with so much stuff, like keep it simple. I know you kind of mentioned that a little bit, but definitely keep it simple if you're just starting. Like do not think you have to like do all of it. So
it's impossible to do all of it, and much of this business is learn as you go. That's something too. I mean, Robin, like even thinking about just training new coaches, it's so important to remind them of that you kind of learn as you go. It happens when it happens and you figure yourself out. All right, I am trying to find.
Can I ask a question with regards to like passing on to new coaches? Is like, do you ever send a template or something just with like, hey, Monday nights are these and Beachbody, hook yourself up to the network wake up call? Like, do you have a sheet or document that you just say?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think everyone does it a little differently. I have a document that I sent to, like, I just sent it to Brittany, and I have like a little intro video in there, and kind of go from there.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone does something different.
I have like a welcome guide that takes them step by step through, and with the team calls and everything. And the,
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I have to do. That's what I need to do.
Teresa's is really good. I tried to copy it, but I just couldn't. It was too good.
Even just like a simple monthly calendar, you could have like, you know, the dates of when things are happening for your team and like the whole team as a whole, and where to go and what maybe a schedule could be to do in that first month.
Yeah, okay. That is my goal this week. I gotta do that.
I'm struggling here. That's okay. I'll come back to it if I can. All right. My Coach Office is just not populating. But anyway, if I find what I want to find, I'm going to send it to Brittany anyway. All right. So anyway, here's our 3-point action item. And it's very simple. And it kind of relates to what everyone is mentioning and kind of the big flow of the evening. But your first thing that I would like for everybody to do is to create a list of PD that you would like to dive into this week, but there are 2 rules. Number 1, you cannot list more than 3 things for the rest of the week. And number 2, you must plan implementation time for each of those things as well. Okay, so just mark that down that by the end of the evening or tomorrow morning, you're gonna make a plan to identify 3 pieces of business development PD I'm talking about that you're going to dive into this week. And also share how you're going to be implementing that. When I post the recording of the team call, I'm going to ask everybody to share what those are, just so we can kind of get some ideas and see what they look like. So just know that that's coming. The second piece is, well, the second 2 are actual, numbers 2 and 3 are network building, and love sending. So the first thing that I wanted everybody to do on their Instagram, and I'm just going to set a quick 3-minute timer. We won't spend too much time on this, and then I'll tell you what the last one is. A quick 3-minute timer. I want you to go to either a TV show that you've been binging during quarantine, a book you've read during quarantine, or a family game you guys have been playing during quarantine. Go to a hashtag that is from that show. So maybe hashtag, I don't know, Tiger King is the stupidest one that just came to my mind. I can't think of any other show. Well, Ozark. I'm watching Ozark. Or hashtag Yahtzee. Hashtag Untamed. And go to some posts related to that hashtag or using that hashtag and just search for some people within there. Don't go to Ozark's Instagram page. Like, you're just going to find a lot of things, but just go to the tags and see who's using them and who's finding them. I'm watching that too. What season are you on? I read that. It was awesome. And just talk with some people. That's all I'm asking you to do. And the last one, and you'll do this after you're done and after you leave, before you go to bed tonight or right after the call, go to a friend on Instagram and just leave them a voice memo. We've been kind of doing this almost every week. Just leave them a nice little voice memo to wake up to. I've been thinking about you today. I hope that your Mother's Day was wonderful. Hopefully your Monday was off to a great start. You're awesome. Wanted you to wake up to some awesome or go to bed to some awesome. And that's that. Like something super simple, something gentle, just some love. You could even send them a quote if you'd like, but a voicemail would be beautiful. One minute left. All right, guys. Good job. That was awesome. I'm going to stop the recording.